The silence emanating from behind the ancient stone walls of Buckingham Palace has never been louder. In the world of global royalty, silence is often the most potent weapon. But this week, that silence has transformed into something far more permanent. According to a series of high-stakes reports emerging from the heart of London, the door to Prince Harry's return has not just been closed, it has been bolted. For years, the public has watched a fractured family navigate the treacherous waters of grief, duty, and public fallout, but we have reached a threshold where the personal has become purely political. At the center of this storm is an alleged silent ultimatum, a move so bold that it has sent shockwaves through the corridors of power. The narrative suggests that Prince Harry has delivered a final set of terms to King Charles, a deal that essentially boils down to a ceasefire in exchange for a restoration of status. To the outside observer, this might look like a son reaching out to a father in a time of crisis. However, inside the institutional framework of the monarchy, the perception is drastically different. What some call a peace treaty, others are labeling a tactical maneuver designed to force the hand of a sovereign who is currently navigating his own significant health challenges. We are no longer talking about simple sibling rivalry or the growing pains of a modernizing institution. We are witnessing the fallout of what legal experts and royal insiders are describing as a dirty war. The stakes have transcended the headlines of the tabloids. They have entered the hallowed halls of the High Court, where allegations of forgery, fraud, and alliances with the very elements Harry once claimed to despise have surfaced. As the shadow machine of litigation begins to turn against its creator, the Duke of Sussex finds himself at a crossroads. Is he a crusader for truth, or is he caught in a web of his own making? In this exploration, we will pull back the curtain on the secret dossiers and the strategic silence of the Prince and Princess of Wales, revealing why the Crown has decided that some bridges are simply beyond repair. To understand the current friction, one must look at the specific nature of the olive branch Harry has reportedly extended. Reports from credible royal commentators suggest that a secret peace dossier has been floated across the Atlantic. The terms are stark and, to many, deeply controversial. Harry has allegedly offered a pledge to stop launching new legal actions against the British press. This is no small promise, considering that his legal crusade has been a primary source of tension for the royal family for years, dragging private documents and sensitive communications into the public record. However, this offer comes with a massive condition. The Duke of Sussex reportedly demands a return to the royal fold in a working capacity. He views this as a concession, a way to support his father and sister-in-law during their respective recoveries. He imagines himself as a royal reserve player, ready to step in and shoulder the burden of public engagements. From Harry's perspective, he is offering his services out of a sense of duty and a desire to reclaim the structure and meaning that royal life once provided him. Sources close to his camp suggest he misses the hierarchy, the military salutes, and the inherent importance that comes with being a working member of the House of Windsor. In the fleeting and transactional world of Hollywood, importance is tied to your last commercial success. But in Windsor, importance is intrinsic. But the palace views this pitch through a much darker lens. Within the sovereign's inner circle, this is not seen as an act of service, but as an attempt to revive the half-in, half-out model that the late Queen Elizabeth II explicitly rejected at the Sandringham Summit. The late monarch's decree was clear. You cannot be a working royal while simultaneously pursuing commercial deals with global streaming giants and selling intimate family details to the highest bidder. To the king, Harry's offer to trade a legal ceasefire for a royal role looks less like a compromise and more like a protection racket. The subtext is chilling. Give me my uniform and my security back, or the litigation, the headlines, and the exposure of family secrets will continue. This transactional approach to duty is perhaps the greatest point of contention. True service to the crown is historically unconditional. It is a life sentence of dedication, not a bargaining chip to be used in a legal negotiation. By attaching strings to his behavior, Harry is accused of treating the thousand-year-old institution like a business contract. Furthermore, critics point out that his offer to stop suing the press is essentially hollow. Having already initiated proceedings against almost every major media organization in the United Kingdom, he has effectively run out of targets to sue. It is an arsonist promising not to start a fire in a village that has already been reduced to ash. As King Charles weighs the exhaustion of a father against the responsibilities of a monarch, the influence of Prince William looms large. For the Prince of Wales, the idea of Harry returning is not just a logistical headache, it is a toxic prospect. William reportedly views his brother's current tactics as a liability that threatens the stability of the entire family. While Harry attempts to negotiate his way back to the throne's good graces, the king is looking at the battlefield. Harry has created a landscape of legal debris and broken trust, and he has seen enough. The dossier has been read, the terms have been analyzed, and the answer remains a resolute silence. While the Duke of Sussex presents himself as a crusader for truth, the legal battlefield he has constructed is beginning to collapse under the weight of its own contradictions. This is no longer a simple quest for privacy. According to explosive allegations emerging from the High Court in London, the shadow machine Harry built to dismantle the British tabloids is now being accused of the very sins it sought to expose. We are moving into a territory that legal experts describe as a dirty war, where the lines between justice and desperation have become dangerously blurred. The latest developments suggest that in his obsession with victory, Harry may have aligned himself with elements that threaten to stain his reputation beyond repair. The allegations currently facing Harry's legal team are nothing short of catastrophic. They involve claims of dishonesty, fraud, and a sophisticated conspiracy to mislead the court. At the heart of this controversy is a key witness named Gavin Burrows, a former private investigator who was once the crown jewel of Harry's case against the media. Burrows was supposed to be the man who would provide the smoking gun, the evidence that would finally bring down major publishing houses. But in a stunning and cinematic twist, Burrows has turned. He now alleges that a critical witness statement bearing his name was a complete forgery. He claims his signature was faked, and that the evidence being presented by Harry's camp is a fabrication. This revelation has sent the legal proceedings into a tailspin. If a prince of the realm is found to be relying on forged documents to win a court case, the fallout will be nuclear. But the drama does not stop at forgery. Burrows has further alleged that he was subjected to blatant witness intimidation on the eve of the trial. The situation has become so volatile that his lawyers have informed the court that Burrows fears for his physical safety. He has requested to give his evidence remotely from a concealed location, a move usually reserved for high-level informants in organized crime cases. The irony is suffocating. Harry, a man who claims to be a victim of media harassment, is now associated with a legal strategy accused of making witnesses hide in fear. Perhaps the most damaging revelation involves the company Harry keeps. While he preaches about the moral corruption of the press and the illegality of phone hacking, reports have confirmed that his own legal team has been paying a convicted phone hacker. Graham Johnson, a former journalist with a criminal record for the very intrusions Harry despises, was reportedly placed on a monthly retainer of £5,000 plus expenses to dig up dirt for the Sussex camp. Critics have pointed out the staggering hypocrisy of this alliance. You cannot claim to be a champion of ethics while simultaneously funding the operations of a convicted criminal to gain a tactical advantage. As one commentator brutally noted, Harry has descended into the mud with the pigs, trading his royal dignity for a win at any cost. This is the dirty war that has caused King Charles to recoil in disgust. The king knows that the monarchy cannot be associated with these murky tactics, and the more Harry leans into this shadow machine, the further he pushes himself away from any hope of reconciliation. While Prince Harry remains entangled in the dark and litigious world of the High Court, his brother William and his sister-in-law Catherine are executing a masterclass in a very different kind of warfare. It is called the Grey Rock strategy. In psychology, this method is used to deal with individuals who thrive on drama, conflict, and attention. By becoming as uninteresting and unresponsive as a gray rock, you deny the other person the emotional fuel they need to sustain their narrative. The Prince and Princess of Wales have not issued angry denials or engaged in a war of words. Instead, they have flooded the zone with an overwhelming sense of duty, stability, and normalcy. They are showing the world that while Harry is obsessed with the past, they are focused on the future. The contrast between the two brothers could not be more vivid. On the same days that Harry's team was facing allegations of fraud in a gloomy courtroom, Prince William was photographed on a farm, wearing a simple flat cap and pruning trees. This was not a high-fashion moment. It was a grounding image of a future king, engaged with the basic realities of the British countryside. He was highlighting the work of farmers, the backbone of the nation, while his brother was highlighting the work of lawyers and private investigators. William is sending a silent but powerful message. Duty is about serving others, not serving subpoenas. He is dealing with real life, while Harry is dealing with old grudges. Then there is Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Her response to the ongoing drama has been characterized by an effortless and regal glamour that borders on total indifference to the noise across the Atlantic. Whether she is hosting world champion rugby players at Windsor Castle or driving herself to events with a smile and a simple umbrella, she embodies the keep calm and carry on ethos that has sustained the monarchy for centuries. Observers noted that during a recent reception, she appeared completely unbothered, her demeanor sharp and her focus entirely on her guests. By refusing to even acknowledge the chaos surrounding Harry and Meghan, she renders them irrelevant. This indifference is perhaps the ultimate punishment for someone who craves the spotlight. Harry thrives on being the protagonist of his own story of victimhood, but William and Catherine's strategy effectively removes him from the narrative altogether. They are proving that the royal family does not need the Sussexes to function, to inspire, or to maintain public support. In the eyes of the palace, Harry and Meghan are becoming little more than an inkblot in the long history of the House of Windsor, a brief moment of turbulence that has been successfully navigated. The brilliance of the Grey Rock strategy is that it leaves Harry shouting into a vacuum. Every time he launches a new allegation or offers a conditional peace treaty, the Prince and Princess of Wales respond with a new charity initiative or a public appearance that reinforces their commitment to the crown. They have turned themselves into granite, solid and immovable. They are celebrating champions and supporting workers, while Harry is stuck in the mud of his own making. The message from Kensington Palace is deafening in its silence. We are too busy building the future to care about your dirty war. By making themselves a gray rock, they have made Harry insignificant. To truly understand the depth of the current crisis, we must examine the psychological landscape of the Duke of Sussex. According to those who have observed his trajectory since his departure from the United Kingdom, what we are witnessing is not the calculated strategy of a statesman, but the erratic behavior of an individual trapped in a state of arrested development. Royal commentators have been brutal in their assessment, describing Harry as an immature teenager still throwing one big epic tantrum. He appears to be operating under the profound delusion that he can dictate the terms of engagement to a 1,000-year-old institution that has survived civil wars, revolutions, and centuries of upheaval. Sources indicate that Harry has never truly abandoned his dream of a hybrid royal existence. This week, his camp launched what can only be described as a media blitz, floating the idea that he is ready to step in as a Royal Reserve player. The pitch is presented as an act of altruism. He suggests that he will return to help with official duties while King Charles and the Princess of Wales focus on their health. However, this kite-flying exercise has triggered deep anxiety inside the palace. The Royal Reserve model is viewed as a Trojan horse. You cannot have a working royal who is also signing commercial deals with Netflix and producing content that monetizes family secrets. The late Queen Elizabeth made this crystal clear at the Sandringham Summit. The monarchy is not a pick-and-mix service. You are either in or you are out. Harry, however, simply refuses to listen. Friends of the prince have leaked that despite his sprawling Californian lifestyle, he secretly misses the structure, the hierarchy, and the profound meaning that royal life once imposed on him. He misses the crisp military, salutes the VIP lanes, and the automatic respect that his title afforded him in the United Kingdom. He has realized the hard way that in Hollywood, you are only as good as your last hit movie or your latest podcast numbers. In the cutthroat world of American entertainment, importance is earned and easily lost. But in Windsor, you are important simply because you exist. Harry seemingly believes that the royal family is desperate enough to overlook his past betrayals because of their current health crises. He looks at the vacancy in the public schedule and thinks they need me. But this is where his delusion meets the cold reality of the British Constitution. The palace does not view him as a savior. They view him as a liability. The very idea of Harry returning to represent the king is considered laughable by those close to Prince William. For the Prince of Wales, Harry is not a helping hand, but a toxic infection that would revive the very drama that nearly tore the family apart. The palace has already written him off. Insider whispers suggest a brutal sentiment echoing through the corridors of Kensington Palace that they would rather work double shifts for the rest of their lives than let Harry back in for a single day. They do not want his help, and they certainly do not want his version of service, which always seems to come with a camera crew and a price tag. Harry is failing to realize that his father has made it clear that the door to a hybrid role is not just closed, but locked from the inside. Prince Harry entered his legal battle with the British press, believing he was wielding the sword of truth. He cast himself as the hero of a modern-day crusade, intent on slaying the dragons of misinformation. But as we approach the final act of this courtroom drama, it appears he has unwittingly drunk from a poisoned chalice. He intended to put the media on trial, but instead he has put his own integrity on the stand. The verdict, regardless of the judge's final ruling, could cost him far more than legal fees. It could cost him his remaining link to the British crown and his standing in society. The danger facing Harry is not just about losing a lawsuit. It is about the catastrophic nature of the allegations leveled against his team. The opposition argues that Harry's case relies on misleading email chains and payments for evidence. If a judge finds that Harry knowingly or unknowingly benefited from forged documents or witness intimidation, the fallout will be nuclear. We must consider the terrifying prospect of the perjury trap. Harry is expected to take the stand for grueling cross-examination. In a court of law, my truth is not a legal defense. There is only the truth and the evidence that supports it. He will be cross-examined by some of the most ruthless forensic lawyers in the world. They will tear apart every inconsistency, every memory lapse, and every contradiction between his explosive memoir and his court testimony. The royals are reportedly terrified that Harry will perjure himself on the global stage, dragging the monarchy into a criminal investigation. If Harry is found to have lied under oath, he faces the very real possibility of a prison sentence, as perjury is a serious criminal offense in the United Kingdom. This legal disaster leads directly to a constitutional crisis that the mainstream media often overlooks. Prince Harry currently remains a counselor of state, one of the few senior royals authorized to stand in for the king if he is incapacitated. This role requires absolute integrity and a clean legal standing. How can the king allow a man associated with a court case involving fraud and dishonesty to act as his official deputy? This is the poisoned chalice Harry has brewed for himself. He wanted to use the courts to force his father's hand to prove he was a hero fighting for justice. Instead, he has revealed himself to be a man willing to get in the mud with criminals and hackers to destroy his enemies. King Charles knows that Harry is now radioactive. Any association with him while these allegations of fraud and witness intimidation are swirling would contaminate the crown itself. The king's refusal to meet with his son is not just a personal choice, it is a protective measure for the institution. Harry thought this lawsuit would be his victory lap, a way to prove his critics wrong and secure his legacy. Instead, it looks like it might be his political funeral. He has become the very thing he swore to destroy, a manipulator of the truth who is willing to compromise ethics for personal gain. As the walls close in, Harry finds himself alone in a battlefield of his own making while the rest of the royal family moves forward without him. The question is no longer if Harry will win his case, but rather if there will be anything left of the Duke of Sussex once the judge delivers the final word. The deepening legal quagmire surrounding the Duke of Sussex has moved beyond the realm of family gossip and entered the territory of a genuine constitutional crisis. This is the aspect of the saga that carries the most significant consequences for the future of the British monarchy. At the heart of the issue is Harry's continued status as a counselor of state. Under British law, this role is reserved for the spouse of the sovereign and the next 4 people in the line of succession who are over the age of 21. It grants Harry the legal authority to step in and exercise royal functions if King Charles is temporarily incapacitated or abroad. However, this position requires absolute integrity and a sterling legal standing. As the allegations of fraud, forgery, and conspiracy mount in the High Court, Harry's position has become functionally untenable. The question facing the palace and the British government is simple, yet devastating. How can a man accused of relying on forged witness statements and conspiring with convicted criminals be authorized to act as a deputy for the king? If the judge in the ongoing trial finds even a shred of truth in the claims that Harry's legal team engaged in dishonest tactics, his remaining titles and roles will likely be stripped away in a swift and clinical constitutional purge. Public pressure is already reaching a fever pitch, with many calling for the king to take the final step of removing Harry from the line of succession entirely. While the king has long hesitated out of a father's lingering love for his son, the duty to protect the institution of the crown must eventually take precedence. Charles understands that the monarchy survives on the consent of the people, and that consent is rooted in the belief that the royals occupy a higher moral ground. Harry's decision to engage in a dirty war has forfeited that ground. The king is being urged to issue a definitive decree that would sever the remaining legal ties and insulate the throne from Harry's legal radioactivity. The message is clear: the crown cannot be a shield for someone who uses the methods of the underworld to settle personal scores. The door is not just closed and bolted, it is being welded shut by the necessity of survival. As we reach the conclusion of this tragedy of Shakespearean proportions, we are left with a profound lesson on the nature of integrity and the cost of unchecked ambition. Prince Harry gambled everything on a high-stakes legal crusade and a secret peace dossier, believing he could blackmail the crown into submission. He thought he could reclaim his royal status by using the threat of further litigation as a bargaining chip, but he fundamentally misunderstood the nature of power. You cannot negotiate with the crown when your own hands are dirty. From the perspective of those who value the traditions of the monarchy, Harry has become a cautionary tale. He claimed he wanted to clean up the media and fight for the truth, yet he aligned himself with the very elements he sought to destroy. Reputation takes a lifetime of dedicated service to build, but it requires only one series of dirty alliances to shatter beyond repair. King Charles and Prince William have not exiled Harry out of cruelty, but out of necessity to protect a 1,000-year-old legacy from the chaos of a single disgruntled individual. Harry wanted to be a hero fighting dragons, but he has ended up as an outsider looking in through a bolted door. Now the final judgment belongs to you, the public who watch this history unfold. Do you believe the king should take the ultimate step and strip Harry of his remaining titles to protect the monarchy from these allegations of fraud? Type yes if you believe the crown must cut all ties to save its integrity. Type NO if you think he deserves one last chance to redeem himself. If you believe that character and duty matter more than titles, please hit the like button to stand for the truth. The king has spoken, and the door is closed. We will be here to witness the fallout when the final verdict is delivered. Thank you for joining us on this investigation into the edge of a royal legacy.